Well, it's been a while. I've been sitting on the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game now, and I've done a few live streams, and it's absolutely a fantastic game from everything I'm seeing. We finally got the Switch a little while ago, so it's the first real game that I'm starting to play with it. You know, I played around with the settings, the emulation that's on there for the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, Mario Kart 8, but the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom really does feel that nostalgic vibe for the Zelda games. Very much so with Breath of the Wild, which I never got to play, and now I'm actually tempted to go pick it up to try and backtrack to that game. But as I search a little bit online, trying to understand more of the game I am diving into, I am met with a rumor. And a rumor of a remake coming out possibly in the next year, where they're possibly going to be making this announcement very soon in the near future. And it's a lot of the speculation and the rumor that is coming out there is a possible Ocarina of Time remake using the current engine of Tears of the Kingdom. So on the rumor of it, before we get fully into the details of this, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, do all those YouTube things, comment down below. Do you think Ocarina of Time deserves a remake? Is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake releasing soon? So the way the stories are written in a lot of this, it's a matter of it's going to come out at some point in the future. Now, this is also on the eve of Legend of Zelda movie that is in the works right now, on the success and the backing of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And then if you look over to Sony with the success of the Resident Evil 4 remake, Ocarina of Time is probably one of the more pinnacle games in the entire franchise. Going back, also looking at Final Fantasy VII, how that remake has gone. I'm not really enjoying that remake because they've split it up into 3 sections of a game, and I know with Sony they're trying to prolong and make you spend so much more money on their video games. But here's the difference with Nintendo. You're paying for your game. They've announced that Tears of the Kingdom will not be getting a DLC, and there's a lot of things that you can do in the game, plus outside the game, back and forth with the amiibos. So I could see Ocarina of Time getting a rehash. Now, I more think this is a puzzle that has been ongoing with The Legend of Zelda for a very long time, and that comes down to where in the timeline do things fit in? What actually happens? How does it split off? Where does it go? And the timeline is very shaky at best when it comes to The Legend of Zelda. With Ocarina of Time, because you had Link as a child, Link as an adult, and it seemed they also had the third part of Link, where he possibly died for Majora's Mask, which was his own purgatory of hell. And that is one of the ongoing theories that have been out there for a long time. Now, I've seen clips of Breath of the Wild where you can get Majora's Mask, and if that exists, then it does stem to forward that the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time could also follow in line with these current game systems, especially if they got an update with it. Recently, there was someone that used Unreal 5's engine to make a Ocarina of Time movie out of it, a very short film, like 10 minutes long, created the entire world and updated the graphics, and it absolutely looks amazing. If you haven't seen that video, you should go try and look it up. It's a Studio Ghibli mix with it, and when I logged in, or when I booted up Tears of the Kingdom for the first time, I'm taken back by everything I've seen with this game. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I think there is a lot that you can contend with this stuff for Tears of the Kingdom going forward. Now, the storyline, obviously, it goes along with the story of Link and Zelda fighting Ganondorf. It's the same old hash, and it's tied in with the Triforce, being the 3 points, and each of them representing one of those 3 points. So Ocarina of Time, it's gotten rehashes. They did the Master Quest version for the GameCube, but I also bring to light here that the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which came out on the Wii, got an HD version on the Nintendo Switch very recently. So this is something that we could be seeing. There's also a few vague posts that happen on Twitter where it seems to be Zelda related for 2023. So early 2024, it sounds like they're going to make a big announcement about a possibly remake or a rehash or a retelling of the Legend of Zelda story. And a lot of people are convinced this is going to be Ocarina of Time. There is a lot with the current Tears of the Kingdom. It comes down to Rauru, whatever his name actually is or how it's pronounced, the spirit that helps you at the very beginning of the game for Tears of the Kingdom, where you get his arm. Now, he also showed up in Ocarina of Time. He was the Sage of Light. So this is another retelling and another rehash of the same story. And I have seen very many parallels right at the beginning of Tears of the Kingdom, where it feels like you're almost playing Ocarina of Time over again in a retelling and a rehash of the story. Will they come out with a redone Ocarina of Time? It's hard to say. On the backs of like Final Fantasy VII doing their remakes, I'm not entirely sure. I do know Ocarina of Time, Final Fantasy VII, both those games when they came out in their day and age, they were kind of incomplete in the way things were. If you look into the debugging and the way the games were, they reached a finish line where they actually had to put the games out. So with the new Final Fantasy VII, that's part of the reason why they're redoing the game. They're pushing it forward and actually wanting to put out a complete game. However, they broke it up on 3 discs, which makes it very disheartening for someone that's trying to be cost savings and cost effective for the games that they do play. But with Ocarina of Time, there were certain things that just felt like they were empty or missing, and they could have done so much more. And the new engine for Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild really does bring that forward. And the fact that we've got the retellings of certain characters in it, I don't think you would get a true remake of Ocarina of Time. You might get an HD upgrade for it, but I think when it comes down to it, Tears of the Kingdom is starting to kind of, to me, feels a bit more like they're retelling the story a little bit differently. But that's the Legend of Zelda. Each Legend of Zelda is a retelling of the same story over again. You get the base story and you retell it. You get the base story and you retell it. And that's part of the charm and part of why the Legend of Zelda is hailed as royalty when it comes to this stuff. And when it comes down to Breath of the Wild, I have seen that there's a guide to actually go out there and get Majora's Mask. And the Majora's Mask being just existing in this universe, it's like existing with the Master Sword. It's like everything that has gone along. It was the one thing that was added to the game back in Ocarina of Time, and without that knowledge behind Majora's Mask being why it's there in the first place with Skull Kid and all these other things, and just the timeline differences and where it goes along the timeline, I think right now, being the 25th anniversary of Ocarina of Time, now would be the time to be re-looking at a remake of it if they're going forward with that, if they want to do things like that. Especially if they're not bringing out a DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. If they're not pushing forward with Tears of the Kingdom, what is their next move? Especially with the tellings of some posts that are out there saying it's a rumor, they're making no comments on this whatsoever, and there's something big going to be announced early in 2024 when it comes to The Legend of Zelda, on top of the movie that's on its way in. There's a lot. It's a very exciting time to be a Zelda fan, and I am glad I am one of them. Thanks for watching. I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix Inner Shadow. I'm signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. And catch me on the live stream very soon of me playing some more Tears of the Kingdom.